Demonstrations against judicial reform continue in Israel despite Friday's deadly attacks in Tel Aviv and the West Bank. The US Navy has deployed a submarine capable of carrying up to 154 Tomahawk missiles to the Middle East. China has launched 3 days of military maneuvers around Taiwan in what it describes as a stern warning to Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen. Demonstrations against judicial reform have continued in Israel despite Friday's deadly attacks in Tel Aviv and the West Bank. The protests against Benjamin Netanyahu's stalled plans to give the executive more power over the judiciary began with a minute's silence for the 3 people who died in 2 separate incidents. Not far away on the Tel Aviv beachfront, mourners paid their respects at the spot where a 36-year-old Italian was killed when an Arab citizen of Israel drove into a crowd of tourists. The Italian ambassador to Israel and the Israeli foreign minister visited the hospital where survivors of the attack are being treated. In the West Bank, 2 Israeli women died when they were shot at in their car. The attacks came shortly after a heavy exchange of fire between the Israeli army and Palestinian militias in the Gaza Strip and southern Lebanon. The US Navy has deployed a submarine capable of carrying up to 154 Tomahawk missiles to the Middle East, a spokesman has said. The nuclear-powered submarine passed through the Suez Canal on Friday. The move appears to be a show of force towards Iran following recent tensions. The Navy rarely acknowledges the location or deployment of submarines. Washington is believed to be concerned over Iran's closening ties with China and Russia. China has launched 3 days of military drills around Taiwan in what is described as a stern warning following this week's visit to the United States by Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen. Taiwan, in response, carried out these counter-maneuvers, with its defense ministry describing the Chinese operation as an irrational act that has jeopardized regional security and stability. Tsai met with the US House Speaker Kevin McCarthy during a visit to California in defiance of Chinese warnings not to. The Chinese exercises include maritime maneuvers designed, analysts say, to show the ability to impose an economic blockade of the island. Beijing disputes Taiwan's claim to independence from mainland China. China has lashed out against the World Health Organization for suggesting it had withheld information concerning the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. The director of the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention said the WHO is politicizing the pandemic and showing reckless disrespect for his scientists.
在整个第一阶段联合研究过程中，中国向联合专家组提供了当时所掌握的所有溯源相关资料，没有隐瞒任何病例、样本及其检测的和分析结果。
The WHO has said it believes China has not shared data on the animal trade at a market in Wuhan, where the pandemic started. Reports have claimed genetic material showed raccoon dog DNA commingled with the virus. But China says the evidence is inconclusive. The funeral has been held in Moscow for the Russian blogger Vladlen Tatarsky, who was killed in a bomb explosion at a public meeting in St. Petersburg. Tatarsky was a fervent supporter of Russia's invasion of Ukraine and posted from the front line, giving support and advice to Russian troops. A 26-year-old woman, Daria Trapova, has been accused of the killing and charged with terrorism offences.